everybody, it's Raylan here, and today I'm back with another video. I thought it would be fun to kind of go back to some of my older character designs since I've been doing character design for so long, and redesign one of my OCs from my middle school days. So today, I decided to redesign Scarlett. A brief introduction for Scarlett, for those who don't know. She was created when I was around like 7th or 8th grade year. I was about 12, maybe 13. I was really into gacha at the time, and she used to be my Sona. She is not my Sona anymore. I created a whole storyline for her, a whole backstory, and she now exists in the realm of Leoterra in my OC universe. Leoterra is heavily fantasy-based, so of course Scarlett has magic. Scarlett is meant to be a mix between a wolf hybrid and a fairy, and she was supposed to have light and dark magic. As you could tell, she was a little overpowered. She was a bit of a Mary Sue, but she also had two alternate designs for her dark and light magic, as I was super inspired by anime at the time. I think I was watching Fairy Tail and just got to meet Sting and Rogue, so I was heavily inspired by them. Now, I did do a redesign for Scarlett fairly recently with her base design, but I never really had a set design for her alternate forms with her dark and light forms. So today I decided, why not go back and redesign those forms? Now, some of you may recognize Scarlett, as I have had her on my channel before, so those of you who do know her would recognize her like this. But I managed to scrounge up a lot of pictures of Scarlett's original design from my older sketchbooks. Here you can see, dated back to 2019, was Scarlett's original design. She had longer hair. For some reason, I gave her a sword. She no longer has a sword because I didn't think it really fit a wolf character who already has claws. And I really didn't like the mask. Originally, I put it on there because I wanted to be a little edgy. I've obviously grown out of that now. And I do actually have one prior design for Scarlett's dark form, which I drew almost 4 years ago in 2021. However, I never really enjoyed this design. You can tell I spent a lot of time on this sketch at the time, but it never really felt like Scarlett, and I also can't really reuse this design either because I obviously chopped off Scarlett's hair, and I don't think it's very realistic for her hair to regrow depending on the form she's in. So today I'm here to fix that. And now that we're done with the basic sketching, it's time to get on to the full illustrations. Here I wanted to start on D first, since she was the first one that I sketched out. And for a pose for her, I wanted to do something much more dynamic and flexible, since Scarlett has always been a vigilante and D is much more of a fighter than the alternate form. So I wanted to do a pose of her like stretching her arms with her claws out, because D also takes after Scarlett's more like feral wolf side. She is more likely to hide her wings, but just for the sake of having a reference, I did want to illustrate these wings and get their color scheme down. Scarlett is a very strong character, so I wanted to show off as much muscle as possible, and since again D is a fighter, I wanted her shorts to be a little more tattered. She likes having more revealing clothing that can give her wings room to breathe, as well as her tail, and something that won't catch if she's going to be stuck in a very fast-paced battle sequence. Same with her hair, she likes it pulled back and out of her face, but it is a little difficult to keep her bangs out when she has such short hair. She always has her fangs out. She has little like canine fangs that Scarlett is much more likely to hide in her normal default form, but D proudly displays, and I thought it was just really fun to include all the little details for it. But moving on to the coloring, the base coloring is mostly the same. She still has the same skin tone as Scarlett, and still has very similar features. However, that's kind of where the similarities end. Scarlett's dark form takes after a dark fairy in terms of many dark colors. She has dark hair, her tail gets darker, but it still has the lighter tips, just like Scarlett's default design, and her wings end up going black as well. I had to keep extending the canvas size for this drawing, so I apologize for that. I had to keep taking pauses to fix that. But here I am trying to fill in all the base color. I was trying to match these reference designs to a prior design I did of Scarlett for her ToyHouse page, which are meant to be transparent PNGs. And I try to keep the same basic like pose and concept idea as well as the same rendering style. At the time, I had a lot more time to spend on art, so I ended up going for a more lineless style on the wings and hair, which I still personally prefer. I love doing this when I have the time. I feel like it makes things look a lot more fluid, and for things like feathers and hair, it looks a lot more realistic despite it still being very, very cartoony. But it takes a lot more effort as I have to define all of the creases with more shadows. But it's the only way that I like to shade wings, so it was a must for this. Here I am adding all of Scarlett's scars. Like I mentioned, Scarlett is a vigilante in her lore. Now, while Scarlett came from Grisera, which is like a nature-based kingdom in Leoterra, and came from a kind of like pack situation, it's like a colony of wolf-based hybrids that are all grouped together in familial groups. She grew up in this situation of a very territorial like family, despite never knowing her parents, and her pack grew up trying to protect those who otherwise couldn't protect themselves in that group. So moving on into her adult life, Scarlett now works as a vigilante and security guard, protecting those who she deems otherwise unable to protect themselves. Despite Scarlett being a big fighter and she has fought a lot in her childhood, she doesn't particularly enjoy it. She likes when she has a fun opponent and considers it to be a challenge, but she doesn't necessarily like harming people if she doesn't have to. So her new job at this magic school in the capital city of Leoterra allows her to kind of take things easy. She gets to know the people that she's protecting and has fun getting to know the students around the school. And she also ends up meeting a formidable opponent there who later becomes her love interest. Scarlett is very much a pacifist when she can be, which is why D is not her like constant form. D tends to spring into action when she is kind of triggered by anger, which is usually by someone hurting someone close to her. But aside from D, Scarlett has one more form that I will be designing right now, who is much more of a pacifist than her. Now, this alternate form is L, who I've named similarly to D, with the letter L that I am extending into the name L as in EL. This is Scarlett's light form. Scarlett's light form is much more of a pacifist. She's much more sensitive, much more emotional, and she doesn't like to fight often. She will fight if she believes that she has to or if it is for the greater good, but Elle will most likely avoid it if necessary. However, since it is still in Scarlett's nature to be a fighter and a protector, I still wanted Elle's design to reflect that. Now, Elle is much more playful, she's much more cheery rather than angry, in contrast to D, so I wanted her pose to be a lot more, like, less battle ready, less getting ready for a fight, and more of greeting and friendly. I really struggled with her face, especially her smile. She still has Scarlett's little canines, but they don't necessarily poke out nearly as much as D's. Now, similarly to D, I wanted Elle's design to reflect another side of Scarlett, so she's much more likely to hide her wolf features and more gravitate towards presenting as a fairy. But again, for the sake of having this reference for later, I wanted to include all of these features regardless. I had a lot of difficulties designing the outfit for Elle. Like I said, I wanted it to be kind of battle ready, so I kept the boots instead of any dress type shoes, but I know Elle is a lot more feminine than D as well. She's much more modest and would prefer to cover up, but she still likes those long skirts, which kind of gets in the way of battle. So to kind of combat this, I decided to instead make a high-low type skirt with large slits on the sides with shorts underneath. This way she can still have the feminine design traits, but be a little more prepared for battle than she would be otherwise. I didn't want her wearing like a full-on gown, even though that could be befitting of Elle's character, but I thought that this was a really good middle ground between what I believed Elle would be like and staying true to Scarlett and her concept. Now, to contrast Dee, I wanted Elle to have the double buns, which I think were really, really cute. I just struggled to properly capture them in the art. You can see me here kind of going over the double buns quite a bit, which was kind of frustrating considering that half of them do end up getting covered up by her ears later. I really wanted to focus on her wings on this one too, but for some reason I wasn't able to get the full effect that I wanted. Scarlett also has very large wings, so it is always hard to capture them all in one shot. But for this, like I said, it was supposed to be mimicking of a different drawing of Scarlett, which I will show you at the end of this video in comparison to these redesigns. And now onto the coloring. Here I kind of forgot that I was going for that lineless look when I was working on her hair. And it is also really difficult for me to work with lighter hair colors. I don't exactly know why. I'm not sure if this is like a universal artist thing or just a me thing. But I knew that I wanted Elle to be blonde. I knew for a fact I wanted her to be blonde and much more like a light, like almost unnatural blonde, since she's supposed to represent pure light magic. But I didn't want her to have like white hair or silver hair. Just like I didn't want Dee to have pure black hair, and her hair is more of like a very dark, muted violet, like black, gray-ish. Again, I struggled with her wings and filling in all the color with that lineless look, but overall I think the wings being a little bit lighter than her hair was really fun. I might fix some of this, and I kind of want to make the base of her wings more of the dark brown color that I gave her tail, but I'm not sure. I might go back. Shading Elle's hair though, however, was a lot more fun I think than Dee's. I could get a lot more definition in all of the strands and everything, but I didn't want to go too dark with the shading and lose the light color. Ended up fixing a lot of this later with some more like lighting effects. Here though, I think I got to have a little bit more fun on the wings, considering that they were a lighter color and I had a lighter base to work with. But it did end up coming out a little messy in the beginning, and I had to rework a lot of it as I went. And then moving on to Scarlett's skin, I knew she was still going to have all of these scars that Dee and regular Scarlett have. However, Elle is much more likely to be wearing makeup, so I drew her with much more intense blush, some lipstick, and like I said, just leaning into that feminine side, but also trying to pay homage to the fighter side and tomboyish side of Scarlett. And then here I am just finally fixing all of the liner that is very badly colored in the beginning, just to make everything fit and match. Overall, I am very happy with this design for Elle, considering that it's the only one that I've ever actually done for her. And I'm very happy overall with both of these redesigns. Taking a look at them both side by side now is really fun. I think I finally managed to create that polar opposite look while still making them very similar to the original design, which is something I don't think I've ever managed to properly pull off before. Just to compare a little bit to that original like drawing that I was kind of basing both of these redesign illustrations off of. Here they all are side by side in the order that I wanted them to be presented. I am very happy to finally kind of see this vision come to life. Like I said, I've had Scarlett for a very long time now, going on almost 6 years. And seeing her evolve from a Sona into an OC that I can finally be happy with, and see all of these designs that I had ideas for in my head back then but never was able to put onto paper, it's absolutely surreal. And I hope you guys like them too. If you like this video and me redesigning older drawings and older OCs, I did find quite a bit of old art in these sketchbooks as I was looking for art of Scarlett to show all of you. So please, please, please let me know if you would like me to do that later. Especially since I did find Scarlett's old love interest, considering that I ended up changing it a long time ago. I think he might be in for a redesign next. Let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing that. Now, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you sticking around and listening to me ramble about some of my older OCs. I know my train of thought gets very, very jumbled, but again, I really appreciate it, all of you. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. It lets me know so much, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And if I could do anything better, comment it down below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Now, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!